quite possibly one of the strangest controllers ever made is this. The Sphere 360 degrees controller for the PS1. Now, us humans, we use the DualShock, but I think aliens from outer space, this is the PS1 controller they use. It's very strange looking. It has a huge, giant ball, and the controller itself is kind of like shaped in a kind of a V, you know. So the main purpose for this controller was to allow the player to move at ease in a 3D environment using this ball. And it, let's just say, didn't actually do well as a controller on the PS1 at all. The model design for this controller originally comes from a PC controller called the Space Orb 360, and it was purchased, the model design was purchased by ASCII. That company, I think it's actually, the way you say it is ASCII, and they purchased the kind of design from the Space Orb 360 and you know, made their own, you could say, PS1 version of it when they got, you know, approval by Sony to release it. It comes with this training disc as well, which just has a game on it where you're like a spaceship and you have to kind of move around in a 3D space environment with instructions, and you use the power sensor to move around in space. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest, like my experience, you know, just moving around with the ball stick power sensor was just really difficult. Like I would try to actually move up and it sometimes, you know, was quite sensitive, quite stiff, and it just wouldn't move up. And I'd move left, move right, you know, all different directions, and I didn't really have a good time. I definitely tried it on other games as well. I tried it with Alien Trilogy. There's actually like a whole list of games you can try this controller with, and there's different modes as well, which I'll talk about in a minute. But again, it was just like the same story for trying it with different games, is that it just wouldn't move. It wouldn't, you know, work quite well in my view. I had more time enjoying the game just going straight back to the D-pad. Now the D-pad, by the way, it isn't quite like a standard PS1 D-pad. It has, you know, it's a bit more comfortable to use, if I'm honest. But this, I mean, from my view, it wasn't quite good. So I don't know. I really don't think this is the best kind of PS1 controller, hence why it didn't do quite well. So yeah, the buttons are kind of designed in a different way. The sort of mainstream controller buttons for the PlayStation, you have like L2 and L1 right here, and on the back side it's got like R1 and R2 right there. Now the different other buttons on this controller is the mode, and basically there's, I think, about 9 different modes for using the power ball, power stick, whatever you call it. I keep forgetting the name of it. And each mode has, you know, is like a different setting for different games. So, for example, mode 1 is the shooter mode, so it's got like loads of shooter games on there. And then shooter mode 2, and then there's fly mode 2, generic mode. And how you would get to these modes is you just obviously press the buttons over. When you've actually switched it over to mode 3, how you get to even more modes to play even more games is you have it on 3 right there, and for example, you would press L1, and there's a button on the back called the Rezero button right there, which you can see. And you press the both of them together on like the title screen of the PS1 game, and it works. You can then play another mode for using the power sensor, and that way, you know, you're able to. I was playing, I think it was Alien Trilogy, on shooter mode, which was, you know, by having to press L1 and the Rezero button on the back to get that to work. But overall, I mean, yeah, this controller, it's a unique one. It's definitely a novelty piece, but it really isn't any good, you know. I definitely have more controllers in my collection if anyone wants me to review them, but I thought I'd give this one a go because it just looks so weird and I just really wanted to show it. But yeah, I mean, this probably isn't the best PlayStation 1 controller out there. Eventually they kind of fixed things up with the DualShock, you know, they got that right, where they had the two sort of analog sticks to move things around. This just, it's just very sensitive and whatnot. So thanks Alan for sending me this. I bought this off him, a guy I talked to ages and ages ago, and yeah, so that's all, guys. Take it easy.